Okay, so we're gonna try to use this as like an intro for our relationship with Hashem, with the davening and the Siddur, and obviously I think they can be hundreds of introduction to the Siddur, so it doesn't have to be exactly what is going to be necessary for next week when we speak about prayer, but I think it's going to give us certain concept that can really help us with davening in general. So the title of that intro was Yaakov and Israel. We have two names. Yaakov is called Yaakov, and this past week's Parasha, Vayishlach, right? He fights with the angel. He's called Israel, and it looks like we're speaking about bipolar Jew, and two types of personalities, two types of mission. So we'll try to identify a bit what that is, and try to see how it can help us in our prayer. The best way to pray to Hashem and to speak to someone, basically to have a relationship with someone, is to understand yourself. And I think as Jews in exile, we have a big problem. We don't really understand who we are. We have physical desire, and we have spiritual desires, and we have, what's my mission as a Jew? What's my mission is first as a human being. Plus, if we are kind of bipolar, we're going to see soon what it means. Like, okay, which part of me is the real me, or do I need to use both, or I have to accept both? So we know that from the very beginning, in the womb of Rivka, she had two children, twins, which is different than Avram and Ishmael. Avram and Ishmael is very different in a way, because Avram and Ishmael, Avram is not really the father of Ishmael in the sense that he converted right after he got Ishmael. Therefore, technically, once you convert, all your family is not your family anymore. So in a way, Ishmael is more distant from us than Esav. Esav was the children of Yitzchak, right? The father, but there was no conversion there or anything. It was actually the two children. So Yitzchak was the first FFB, so to speak, from birth, and he get twins. And apparently, it looks like from the very beginning, right? Rivka has this fight in the womb. Actually, I always feel like the way people describe that fight is sometimes wrong. Sometimes the kids move. It doesn't mean they're fighting. It doesn't mean they are one good, one bad. Right away, Chazal comes, some of the Chazal say, one good, one evil. And she goes to Shem and Ever to ask what's happening, who are the spiritual leaders at the time, and they say, those are you have twins and two different personalities and two different missions. What is interesting is that those two missions, those double personalities, were connected to the fact that Yaakov and Esav were supposed to work together, and they were both supposed to be Jewish, so to speak, both two parts of the Jew. And when we think of Esav, we don't think Jewish at all, which is because it's like Esav decided not to be Jewish. So at the beginning there was this fight, and that fight is not necessarily that a fight between them. The fact that it's in the womb, that means, because my Rebbe always says, Weinberg, that someone is not born righteous or evil. Because that were the case, then what is my free choice? What is my merit? Oh, he's born a tzaddik, great. He's born Russia. Okay, so about Russia, then there's no free choice, there's no growth. So we defend, and all the great people, all the great Roshaim in the Torah are all great people who could have become the greatest tzaddikim too. That's always something that we have to be aware of when we learn about them. And here we have Esav. Yitzchak loved Esav. Yitzchak was hoping for Esav to be the one who was going to be the main part of Israel, right, so to speak, the main part of the continuing of the Jewish people. What happened? What Yaakov was Ish Ohalim, so to speak. Yaakov was the one who was supposed to be the spiritual leader, and Esav was supposed to be the physical leader, doing with the sadeh, dealing with the crop, the earth. So each one was supposed to have that mission to work those two parts and together create a harmony that would show the world what a true Jew is. What do I mean by that? I mean that the goal was to show that there are two parts to the human being. There's the spiritual part and the physical part, the soul and the body. And from the very beginning, so from the moment you're born, there's that challenge. You're fighting with yourself, the fight between the body and the soul. Who is going to lead who? Really, there needs to be a harmony. What happens is that Esav refused, or it's as if to say that our body, our physicality, usually refuse to follow the spirituality, the soul. And that if you're going to be physical, it's going to be very easy to just abandon the spiritual, and then you're going to be trapped in the physical. And Esav say, I want that red stuff right now. I don't want to wait for it. I want the pleasure now, right? Which is the Western world. When we speak about Esav, we're speaking just about a person. We're speaking about an ideology, the Western world, the culture. And that culture has been disconnected from its spirituality, and that's why it's the easiest to fall. It's very easy to be a Yaakov, so to speak, a priest, a monk, a spiritual person disconnected from the physical. It's much safer, so to speak. Once you get involved with the physical, it's much harder. It's much more tempting. So when there was a split within the Jewish people about that work to do in order to show the world what is a true human being, a balanced Jew, a balanced, someone who is tifer, someone who can have a relationship with God. You want to have a relationship with God. You want to live a life of connection, your purpose in creation. You have to learn to create that balance between soul and body, spiritual and physical. But you're gonna have to know that within yourself, you're gonna have that challenge where you're part of you that is Esav. We know all the people also play roles in your body that represents parts of your personality, and you have the Esav. Your body is gonna want to just give up. I just want it now. It's gonna want to be American. No, nothing against American, but that mentality, that ideology, I want it now. So, Yaakov needed two women, because Yaakov saw that as a spiritual leader, he saw that the physical part was failing, and because he was failing, he saw he had to take responsibility for it, which is just something crazy amazing. Really, we, the ones who teach, who are the spiritual leaders, the from ones, so to speak, especially the ones who are connected to yeshiva world, they have to take responsibility for the physical, for the Esav part, positive Esav part of the Jewish people, and guide them. Hakol kol Yaakov b'yedei Esav, right? And see that I'm gonna take your part and be responsible for you too, in a way, which means that we need to get involved with the Jewish people, what we call chilonim, the not religious, the secular, who are involved in the physical, and struggle with. But the only way to do it is to do it in a way that, in a way that there is respect. And we see that whole meeting between Yaakov and Esav represent a bit how to speak to an Esav, how to speak to our twin. My non-religious Jew is my twin, so to speak. So now Yaakov, in a way, which is the Jewish people of today, took that double responsibility. He needs to be from and he needs to work. And we know even according to the Torah, according to Pirkei Avot, that say that if someone study to have spirituality but doesn't work, it's going to fail. It's going to be prone, right? It has to be both together. So even today, someone who is spiritual needs, in a way, to be physical on some level to relate to his twin brother, to his other part of himself, to his physicality. We're speaking on many different levels. One is my personal spiritual and physical need as a human being, plus the spiritual and physical nation and spirituality and physicality of the world. We're speaking on many different layers and levels. So, but it's interesting. So Yaakov, that's why Yaakov had to have now those two wives. Leah was supposed to be for Esav and transform Esav, but because Esav decided to disconnect too much, he lost that opportunity. Yaakov took that part at woman because he was a double personality now. He had a double mission, and since I speak about the woman is the one who is going to save the day, to speak.
Was supposed to marry Esau.
Right. And Yaakov even was punished for hiding the daughter of Leah, who was Timnah.
Yeah, that's what happened to Dinah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because Dinah was a woman who was supposed to save, who could have saved Esav also. It's almost as to say that we as human beings, if we don't marry the right woman, meaning if we choose to marry a woman that is, I'm very spiritual, so I need someone very spiritual, or I'm very physical, I need to marry someone very physical, it's not gonna work. You need someone really on the opposite side of you, and I see it constantly with couples, and from my own marriage, and all, like, at the beginning we think we're super similar, right? Like, we both like that, but at the end, the best couple is one that is much more practical than the other, or the other one is much more spiritual than the other, because we need those two parts. It's like, again, even the Zohar described a relationship between two people, the husband and wife, as the body and the soul. So there is this aspect there. But here it's even more complex because you have Yaakov with that double personality, and therefore he needs those two types of women in order to fill up, balance those personalities. So this is really what we end up with. We end up with a Jewish people, a Jewish person, that struggles constantly between its physicality and its spirituality. And I mean, it's very relevant today when marriages are falling apart like crazy everywhere. And it's a plague, and we need that constant. If we want to be successful, I think that's one of the important message, especially for our generation. If we want to be successful in our balance between physical and spiritual, you need to have a proper marriage. You need to work on finding someone who can create that balance. And yes, that's actually not that great. So you're gonna find some people. So the people who are more spiritual in the sense that they are more learning and teaching and yeshiva and all that, yeshivish, Hasidish maybe, who are more involved with the disconnected from the physicality. They need to find women who keep them down to earth, and the ones who are more involved with the physical, is almost to say someone who is not so from. He's like more in the business. He's like traditional. He needs a woman who is very spiritual, maybe even more from than him, right? It's actually interesting way to look at it. But so that one's just speaking in general. But yeah, sure.
Okay, so like the first off, very beautiful, and the way you described it sort of reminds me of like, because I can only speak for the community I live in, the Bahraini community. A lot of people, a lot of Bahrains, they do respect. They're very much a majority of the Bahraini community, and I think I was also like this, is more like the Esav mentality, where not necessarily, not God forbid, not wicked people, but we're very oriented towards physical success. We want to make a lot of money. We want to establish family.
Yes.
Kibbud Avim is like number one. Sometimes on an
That's
unhealthy
a very good
level.
point. Very good point.
And that's with Esav.
Right.
But the thing that I have to say that, and I see religious people, and the message that they want to convey, and the outreach that's done in the Bahraini community, and it's good and it's beautiful. But ultimately, no matter how much outreach there is, no matter how much Torah there is, at the very end of the day, we have our culture that we always fall back on.
Mm-hmm.
And the Torah that we learn is beautiful and it's nice, and it was nice in the shul, and I come back home, and the question is, do I really ever apply those things that I learn, or is it just a separate thing that I go and do, and then I come back home, and I don't live a consistent life with whatever it is that I've learned? And it's not because what I've learned is wrong, but I feel as if my culture is more real because I actually get a consequence. Like,
Right.
I study hard, I listen to my parents.
Yes.
Things will happen.
Excellent. Okay, so you got me exactly where I wanted to go,
Okay.
and you brought it to me without saying it. So that's perfect.
Okay.
Because I didn't know how to reach the next point, but you brought it. So
Okay.
so the Zohar says, Esav sonet Yaakov halachahi. That there's a halacha that Esav hates Yaakov. Okay, and Yaakov is called Yaakov.
There's a halacha.
Yeah, it's so. What do I mean? Halachahi is like halachahi is that it is in the system. That's gonna be a natural hate. The body hates the soul.
Mm-hmm.
The physical hates the spiritual. I don't want to go pray. I just want to sit on my couch and watch my show. I don't want to be bothered by the spiritual.
Because it's more real.
It is exactly. It's more real, and the problem is that, and let's remember, because I want to mention that because when speak about the Esav, it can be confusing for people. Okay, Esav is good or bad. Let's remember the head of Esav is buried. It says when the son of Dan, or Dan himself, killed Esav, the head rolled, and says it went in the hand of Yaakov or one of the Shvatim, I don't remember who exactly, but basically the head of Esav is buried with the Kever Machpelah. So part of Esav was good, and Esav technically has a good intention. He had Kibbud Avim, he wants to be good, but he gets trapped at his body. So how do we drive that reality that Yaakov, because Yaakov is called Yaakov when he holds the heel of Esav, right? So that's why it's called Yaakov. So the Zohar says, Sone et Yaakov, but Ohev Israel. He loves Israel. And now we have with Yaakov that double person, Yaakov Israel. And Yaakov is Yaakov when he is at his lower madrega, so to speak. There's Yaakov, the Yaakov who excuses himself. And if you look in this week's Parasha, Vayishlach, Baal destroys Yaakov. It's all Yaakov's fault. He says the reason why Yaakov, the fact that Yaakov bowed down to Esav and he called him my master, and that he sent him gifts. Like, what kind of man is that? You're not proud to be an Israeli, a real man, you call him, right? You have to excuse yourself, and we Jews have done that for many, many years, where we have excused ourselves for being Jewish, and that's not good. What we have to do is to realize that we are Israel, and that we are only going to be successful. Hey, no problem. Just want to finish my food. Good to see you. So Esav is only going to love Yaakov when Yaakov is called Israel. Now remember, Yaakov is the heel. Israel is li rosh, the head. It has to do with the rosh. Rosh el, rosh Hashem, the head of Hashem. Meaning, only when the spiritual people are acting with power, direction, a spirituality that is not afraid to say, let's go fight. Not afraid to say, let's go in the business office. Let's not be afraid to deal with the world with stopping excusing ourselves, hiding ourselves, or it's we're Jewish, we don't want to bother anyone. No.
What does Judaism have to say about being successful in the business world?
Being successful in the business world is saying, you stand here, you're saying, I'm a CEO, and I was successful. Right? You have all those shows. How is a CEO successful? I'm a CEO because I believe in God and I follow the Torah. That's what my success is. Instead, we have businessmen say, I'm successful because I have this. Oh, by the way, I'm Jewish too. It's nice. That's Yaakov. It's not Israel.
But like, if I were to ask a person, even a religious person, right? There are a lot of from religious people, spiritual, who are successful in business. What makes you successful? They'll tell you it's their determination, it's their work ethic, it's their, it's the way they chose, it's the way they made decisions in their life, good decisions, right? And they might say, oh, it's because of Hashem, but, I mean, I personally say, oh yeah, it's because of Hashem. Yeah, there are moments where I do feel Hashem helped me a lot, but then there are moments where I say, well, no, it's self-discipline, it's my decisions. I made the right choice. I decided to do this over doing that, right? And so it's hard for people to believe, God is not going to give me my A, right?
Right.
And I hear a lot of the time from a lot of religious figures that I pray this way, God's going to give me money. If I wear tefillin the wrong way, it's going to affect my parnasah. Which it could be true, but it's not as real as work hard, do the right thing, and you're going to make a lot of money. Sounds more real to me than to read, this right in the right way, and then money will come.
You say it doesn't sound as real, Israel. It has to sound Israel. It has to sound Israel. No, but that's really the thing. That's the key. Because it is not real to us, it doesn't become Israel, and it doesn't become, you stay Yaakov. And Yaakov is, I'm holding on to Yaakov. I'm holding on to, there's a technique, an Esav business technique to be successful. And I'm holding on to that. Instead of saying, no. That technique is good, but Rosh. This Rosh is Hashem. And the whole source comes from that. And where does the businessman got that technique, CEO, Because there's a system that really, Parnasah really connect to that. But you can't do that whole system. And there are hundreds of people who do that system, and they fail.
Yeah, so that's...
Because at the end, it's all in the hand of Hashem.
I think that more people fail doing that. That's the thing. More people fail doing that than people that work hard and make it their way. I know. I'm talking from what I see in my life. And there are a lot of really successful people, and they respect Judaism. They really do. They don't really care about it, and I don't blame them because their Judaism is not bringing them their success in their life.
And that's because we're not living a Judaism that is powerful. That is, my Judaism is the ikar, my business and look at my business as a consequence of it, not as I'm my business, and then on the side, I'm a Yaakov, I'm a Jew, or Ish Halim. I have to be Yaakov, Akol Kol Yaakov, Yedei Esav. I have to feel that those religious people, right, those spiritual people are people of who leave their Judaism at the business. And we don't see that. I'm not saying just wearing kippah or thing, leaving it like, okay, let's make a business decision. Let me daven. I'll tell you after I want to finish davening if I take your, this decision or this decision. What does the Torah say about that? We're not bringing it down.
Mm-hmm. So why would davening help me make a business decision?
Okay. So that's what I think the connection with davening is. That whole relationship, that whole physicality and spirituality that we struggle constantly with, which is within ourselves, with people, in the world as nations, is the struggle that really will enable us to have a connection to God, to discuss with God how to deal with that challenge itself. God put that challenge in us, right? He told us, this is what you need as a Jew. You have a mission to go out there and to bridge the physical world and the spiritual world, Eastern spirituality and Western physicality, materiality. We need guidance for that. We need reassurance. We need to make decisions. And all that balance is only going to work if I have an active relationship with God, who is going to tell me, okay, you have to put your spirituality a bit more there and your physicality a bit more there. How can you know where to have the right balance? It's like each time I have an argument with my wife, I'm the physical, she's the spiritual, or she's the physical, I'm the spiritual, both are as holy. I go to the therapist and say, I want to say I love you, how should I say it? Mm-hmm. I need to, we need to buy a new house. Should I do it based on where it's going to be better for my business, or where my wife feels good? Mm-hmm. So I need to speak to the therapist or the marriage counselor, and that's my connection to God. God is my marriage counselor between my two parts. He's my, right? God's allowed my marriage to work, and I need constant.
So I understand what you're saying. So the next question is, I'm about to go to work. I'm about to go to school.
Okay.
And right before I go to school, I pray to Hashem. I speak to Him, whatever it is. I say to Him. So I just stop and after I finished, how is that gonna help me be a more successful person at school?
So how are you gonna become an Israel in school? Basically. Yeah, what's gonna be different?
Yeah, what's the difference? Because if I can go to school and get an A, what do I need a prayer for? Why? That's what people ask.
But because you're disconnecting the A from. You think you're.
This is what I feel like. This is why Yaakov was afraid of Esav.
Right. Yes. He was. Yeah, you're right. Because he can't deal with the reality. The physicality is so much more powerful. The physical, is like, I do this, I get this, and the spiritual say. So I think that's where you have to answer like Yaakov or Israel, and that's the challenge. Yaakov say, yes, but I davened before, and then yeah, sure. And the same thing that's happened with the Israelis. Oh, you're gonna pray in yeshiva, and we're gonna keep the land. We're gonna be safe. Come, let's see if we don't go to the army and fight the people there, right? The idea of let's see if you're gonna be able to learn in yeshiva. Who is really protecting you? And you have that debate, and the debate of the physical says it's makes more sense than the spiritual thing. So how does Israel It's a good question. I don't know how to answer it. I know how to answer it. My understanding is that Yaakov has to put the hand of Esav. He needs to put the cloth. He needs to, as if to say, go in the business world with your friend and see how it is there, how to be successful. It's a world of sharks where everybody's trying to make business like that and trying to stay honest there and not to be swallowed up. You need a tremendous integrity, tremendous thing. And I think that's where the Israel is. As we need the leaders or the teachers or the spiritual ones need to respect and say, yes, you're right. Unless you study, unless you use your physical, you're a dead man. You're not going to have an A. But understand that the source of that physical power, and if you want to strive and be successful in the long term, you're going to need to stay connected to the source. You're going to need the guidance of the source. I think that's the beginning of the answer. I can't formulate it better yet, but I think that's what it is. Mm-hmm. I respect you're a soldier and going to fight for the Israel, and I know that without you I cannot do it. I need you. You, my body, I need you 100%. I cannot live in this world. The soul cannot live in this world. I need your body. Without you, I'm nothing. But remember that the source of your energy, of your body, is your soul. Mm-hmm. And cannot function without it. It's like saying, the world, God created the world, it's physical, he dropped it, and he left. No. The world, everything that's happening behind is energized from God. So they need the physical has to recognize that the source, but the spiritual has to make sure, and that's when you become Israel, that he shows, it's all you. I'm there. I'm giving you the source, but you need to do it, and I respect you, and all that. And that's really. Imagine all the from people who go to all the Chironim and say, the only way to have a successful Israel and to rebuild the land is with you working, making business, plow the land, and all that, and respect you for that. And we need the army and all that, and we're just feeding it spiritually and energizing it, but we believe in you. We need you. You're important to me. You're more important to me than myself. Mm-hmm.
But
right, and that's the challenge.
You just reminded me. There's this one guy in my program. He's 40 years old with 5 children. He's a Haredi, and he was actually Chavruta with Rabbi Rutenberg.
Interesting.
He's in my year. And he told me, you know him.
You don't have to get up, just tell me.
Back, make a left. You'll see it. There's a door there. Actually, yeah, just go upstairs, ask. Yeah. So, he's Chavruta with Rabbi Rutenberg. That, he is an incredible human being. Like, and my program is very cutthroat. Very cutthroat. Whether Jew or non-Jew, Jew on Jew, Jew on non-Jew, it doesn't matter. And one thing that I realized, one thing that I saw was a real test. Anyone who said they were religious, were they really religious in school? Or did they throw all their ethics and what they said they believed in, what they say they were out the window to get what it is that they needed to get?
Right.
This one guy, incredible, calm, friendly, like, he really stands out in terms of his midot. And he's one of the top students in the school. He's okay, top 10%.
No.
And every other, I can, there are other people that are on his level in school. There are other people that have better grades than him in school, but he's still one of the top. But I know for certain, without a shadow of a doubt, that nobody in that program is as calm and at peace with himself
Mm.
and as happy and fulfilled as he is. So he both has the goal,
Right.
the physicality,
Okay.
and he's so in tune, and you can just see it. It's beautiful.
Right. So I think that's what we're trying to get. I think if a Jew has that, you'll see it. You'll see, because the people, they, whether it's in college, that when there's a true Jew who really believes that everything he does is from God, but he's not letting, relying on miracle, on just a davening, but he works. It's real davening is, I pray, God, you're my source, you're my IQ, and then you use the IQ we're using physically. That's someone who really believes. That is someone who really believes that I have my physical part to play, but if I have my physical part to play, forget what's at the rush, then I'm gonna lose it all eventually. So I think that's really what we're trying to say. Prayer is reconciling the physical and the spiritual, because prayer is, I'm here in the physical world and I'm asking, going to the source. It's like Esav asking Yaakov for help, right? The hand asking for the voice. So our prayer is based on that relationship, based on the struggle to be successful in the world with what we have to do, and bringing to God that awareness that you have that fight, inner fight, and asking God really for clarity, for the ability to join those two, for the ability to really be successful and become an Israel, as opposed to just an Yaakov that has to deal with Esav.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're in Israel, Esav loves you. You're in Israel.
Yeah, and everybody loves that.
People will respect you. That's when you'll be respected.
And they think about, wow, maybe I should be religious.
Right, exactly. He says, look, he's successful. No, everybody sees he's successful and he has a kippah on the head. It's role model. It's role model. Rosh model, and Rosh model, and that's really what Israel has to be, and that's what's the problem in Israel today. Israel is acting like a Yaakov. He needs permission from Esav to take care of the Arabs and the terrorists. No, Israel has to stop worrying what people say about him. Right? Mm-hmm. I'm a Jew. I put my kippah when I leave college. Mm-hmm. No. I'm a Jew. I'm spiritual. I have a philosophy, and I bring it down with me in the physical, in the marketplace, in the business, in the war, and I be a leader of the nation. No more, just attaching myself to America, to the Western world for acceptance. You need to pull me out. No, you don't need to pull me out. I'm gonna pull you up now. Mm-hmm. I'm by showing you what it is. So if we approach our prayer like that, and we'll come to God just, oh God, I'm a poor guy, and yes, there's also that concept of tefillat ani, where everything I have is all from God and nothing, but it's also thinking God, I'm a leader. God, I have responsibilities. Give me what I need. I need to go there and get an A. I need to go to the business and be successful. I'm your representative in the world. I'm your Israel. You need to give me what I need to do that. Obviously, you have to play your part. But if you speak to God like that, it's a whole different prayer. And therefore, depending on where we stand, sometimes for learning, I'm more speaking like a Yaakov. Mm-hmm. But for business, I have to speak more like an Esav, so to speak, mm-hmm. or like an Israel. And this way, where I think we'll be much more successful, or more confident to pray to God, and to ask. It's a different relationship. It's a different type of prayer. That's really, that's what we need. We need that prayer in order to constantly be in touch with those two parts of ourselves, and to bridge them together, create the balance and being successful. All right? Okay.